We have team coverage for you right now.
Maureen Coside is covering the O'Connor campaign. But first, we begin with 10 TV Cierra Johnson live in Newark with the Balderson campaign.
Yes, good evening. About 30 minutes ago, Republican candidate Troy Balderson gave a pretty emotionally heartfelt acceptance speech to the crowd here in Newark, and you can see he's still posing with friends and family. He started his speech by thanking those who stood by his side for what you all know as months of campaigning, both for that special election in August and then that crucial midterm election today. He gave a big thanks to President Donald Trump, who stumped for him for that special election, as well as Vice President Pence, who also gave him some shout-outs leading up to the midterms. Balderson says he has plans to continue that commitment to creating jobs, including jobs for veterans and skilled labor. Take a listen to what he had to say a little bit ago.
We have ran 4 elections in 6 months. They say that that's not been done too many times in history, and here's the other big part about that: we've won each and every one of them.
Again, Troy Balderson accepting that win. He told us that this campaigning has not been exhausting. It's really been an honor to fight for what the folks in this 12th district want. He says he continues to provide what they need. In Newark, Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Thank you, Cierra. Tonight, DeWine is outlining his plan for leading the Buckeye State. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Jerry Revish.
And I'm Yolanda Harris. 10 TV Cierra Johnson is at the Ohio State House tonight with the governor-elect's message. Cierra?
Yes, good evening, Jerry and Yolanda. We will definitely get to what the governor-elect had to say about President Trump's involvement in his campaign. But first, DeWine wasted no time really laying out what he wanted to tackle first when he becomes governor. Those 2 items really impacting the Buckeye State: education and the opioid epidemic is what he tells us he will focus on first. He also said he plans to nominate someone at a cabinet level to handle military installments across the state. And he did discuss President Trump saying when it comes to an election and a campaign, you need to do what you have to win. Take a listen.
I'm very happy that the president came in. I asked him to come in. He did. I'm very, very grateful for him doing that. I certainly believe that helped. As you know, in campaigns, there are many, many things that matter. And what you try to do is do everything.
And the governor-elect also discussed where he and his wife would live once he takes office. He said he would split his time between the governor's mansion and his current home in Cedarville. We're live in downtown Columbus. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Cierra Johnson is in Newark tonight, where Balderson's camp is waiting to hear the results. Cierra?
Yes, good evening. Those polls are officially closed. We were live with you at 5:30, and we were live again at 6. And this room was all but empty. But now, if you want to take a look, this room is filled with folks waiting to hear the results for Republican Troy Balderson. These folks are hoping that Zanesville native comes out on top once again and is once again named as the representative for Ohio's 12th district. Now, this is really deja vu for many of the supporters. Again, that match was a rematch from the special election in which Balderson narrowly beat Democrat Daniel O'Connor. Now, these candidates bring different perspective to the race. Balderson served in both Ohio's House and Senate. He said he worked with Kasich to improve Ohio's economy, cut taxes, and given his background, he was in farming. He currently serves on the Small Business Committee and Subcommittee for Agriculture and Energy, possibly serving as an advocate for those in his farming community. Now, Daniel O'Connor currently serves as Franklin County Recorder. The Democrat says he's working to stand up for against any efforts to privatize Social Security that could threaten Ohioans' retirement security. And he's also pushing to increase financial aid for community colleges. Now, again, this race pretty tight again. Balderson came out on top in August, only by about 1,600 votes. So this party here is really hoping that the fact that it is a Republican district made up of Franklin County, Delaware, Muskingum, Marion counties, they're hoping that since it's been Republican for more than 30 years, that will work in their favor. But as we've mentioned previously, O'Connor has out-fundraised Balderson by millions, so he's hoping the power of the pocketbook will work in his favor. But again, the folks here optimistic that they will once again hear Republican Troy Balderson's name called as victorious. We will be here all night, and we will bring you the speech when it becomes available. Guys, back to you.
10 TV Cierra Johnson is following the race.
Yes, Jerry, right now we're inching closer to the polls closing time. Right now this room is pretty empty, but as folks make their way inside, they will be waiting for those first round of numbers and hopefully hear their candidate named as congressman once again. So a little background. This is in fact a rematch between Republican Troy Balderson and Democrat Danny O'Connor. Balderson inched out O'Connor during the August special election, and they're meeting again tonight. The two are vying for the spot in Ohio 12th Congressional District, which is made up of a handful of counties, including Franklin, Delaware, Muskingum, Licking, Morrow, and Marion counties. This district is historically Republican, which could serve as a bit of an obstacle for O'Connor, but early estimates have O'Connor outspending Balderson. Now, both candidates did cast their votes this morning. We did get word that Troy Balderson had a minor issue with the barcode on his ballot, but that issue was eventually worked out. So right now we're just imagining the folks as they make their way in here will be waiting on pins and needles to hear those first round of numbers. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Cierra.
For 10 TV News at 5:30, I'm Scott Light.
I'm Tracy Townsend. We have team coverage of some of the big races and issues. 10 TV's Maureen Cosat and Shelby Croft are covering the Senate race. Valencia Wicker looking at some of those big school bonds and levies, and Cierra Johnson taking a look at the District 12 congressional race.
We've got you covered, and that's where we begin tonight. The District 12 race between the Republican incumbent, Troy Balderson, and Democratic candidate, Danny O'Connor.
Cierra Johnson joins us now from Balderson's watch party in Newark with more on this very tight race. Cierra.
Yes, good evening. This 12th congressional race is really a rematch, deja vu from the August 7th special election where they voted to fill that spot vacated by Republican Pat Tiberi. Tiberi had that spot from 2001 to 2018. Now, a little about these players. Republican Troy Balderson came out victorious in that match, but by a slim margin of about 1,600 votes. That's what separated those two candidates. And now they are back to do it all again. The Republican incumbent has a few things working in his favor. Ohio's 12th district has historically been Republican. Trump swept the area in 2016, as did Kasich at the gubernatorial level during his elections. But Democrat Danny O'Connor may have the power of the purse on his side. He outspent the Republican by about 3-1, so now it's a waiting game.
I just know that we've ran a great campaign. We've talked about important issues to families. I've crisscrossed the 7 counties of this district talking about health care access, talking about job opportunities, talking about access to, earned benefits that people work really hard for, like Social Security and Medicare.
The process has been the same. I mean, there's been nothing different. When we set up to do this whole campaign and decided to take this race on, we knew that we were going to do this back to back. So we were prepared for it, and everything went fine.
And 10 TV was there as both of those candidates cast their votes earlier this morning. Troy Balderson did have some issues with the barcode on his ballot, which he was eventually able to work out. Now, this race could be an indicator if O'Connor is able to pull out that win, an indicator of that blue wave. We'll, of course, keep you updated with any of those numbers as they begin to come in. Again, we're at Troy Balderson's headquarters in Newark, Ohio. I'm Cierra Johnson. Back to you.
Many fans who did not make it to the game are cheering on the Buckeyes at watch parties. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson joins us from Eddie George's Grill in Grandview with more on the fan excitement. Cierra.
Yes, good evening, Jerry. I hope you can hear me over some of that cheering behind me. You know, the action is really taking place more than 200 miles away, but some of those fans didn't want to make that road trip, so they set up shop here in Grandview at Eddie George's Grill. Now, many of the fans we spoke with say this season has gone pretty well. If you look past that loss of Purdue, the fans we spoke with say the team did have a rocky start with some of that controversy off the field, but they say tonight is the night to show the nation why they are the best in the Big Ten. Take a listen.
There was a lot of expectations out of Ohio State fans. With the record they have and the opportunity they have right now, they're in a good position.
We had a tough loss, but, it's gone well. Better than expected a couple games, and some games were, we're always a nail-biting team, and you got to come out and play tonight, and it'll be a repeat of last week.
And we've been here all day. We saw the crowds come and go for that Texas-Oklahoma games, and then the crowds come back for this game. This, of course, is a nail-biter. But the folks here at Eddie George say they were prepared for the crowds. We will, of course, keep you updated with what is going on with this big game throughout the newscast. We're live in Grandview. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Thanks, Cierra.
Cheers on this Veterans Day for a group of veterans returning from the final honor flight, Columbus flight of the year. They spent the day in Washington, D.C., touring and seeing monuments honoring, well, them. Thank you for joining us for 10 TV News. I'm Scott Light. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson is there for the veterans' return to John Glenn Columbus International Airport.
Yes, Scott, I can tell you we are in the very middle of this return. If you've never experienced an honor flight return, I can tell you firsthand it is a very emotional experience. The range of emotion, people are just really shocked at the number of people that turned out. Some estimate about 1,000 or more spent their evening here at John Glenn International Airport. Now tonight, 90 veterans received the welcome of a lifetime after that emotional journey to the nation's capital. Despite a delay of about an hour and a half, those folks made that return, and the crowd really stuck around to see them home. Now, that trip to D.C. is the final honor flight trip of the year, and it takes place on a very special day, Veterans Day. And for many of those veterans we spoke with, they say this trip was an emotional one of clarity and one of closure. Take a listen.
As a Pope Catholic, this is unbelievable. This is outstanding in the largest sense of the word. This is just beyond belief.
Glenn fought.
And for many of those veterans like Sally Cochran, I mean, they would just walk through the terminal and you would just see tears in their eyes, really just in shock of the number of people that turned out. You can see a family here with a veteran, Mr. Johnson. The folks have made some signs. Even the little ones stayed up past their bedtime to welcome this veteran home. We are live at John Glenn Columbus International Airport. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
Look at that crowd. Cierra, thank you.
We're checking in on air travel too tonight. 10 TV reporter Cierra Johnson is live at John Glenn Columbus International Airport with the latest and how Ohio is stepping up to help. Tell us more, Cierra.
Yes, Jerry, Hurricane Michael is perhaps one of the strongest, most powerful storms to hit the Florida Panhandle, but that strength isn't exactly being felt here in central Ohio. If you take a look at the big board, there's not a lot of red. That red, of course, indicating cancellations or delays, both of which are far and few between. And as many keep their eyes glued to this board, a group of first responders are headed south ahead of the storm to help those who may have become stranded. Now, members of the state's water rescue group, Ohio Task Force 1, arrived in Montgomery, Alabama this morning, prepared to ride out the storm and head to the areas that were hardest hit by the storm. Now, Adam Landis says many in the group of 16 were part of a team that assisted during rescues in Hurricane Florence.
Most of us have a background as firefighters in the fire service or the first responder business, so you get pretty used to doing that after so many years that it's not like an everyday or a normal day in the firehouse. However, the training that we've had and the previous deployments that guys have been on have done a really good job of preparing everybody for these types of situations.
And another quick look at this board. Not a lot of red. Departures looking good here at John Glenn International Airport. But of course, this is a very fluid storm, so it is best to check and double check any departures or arrivals. We're live at John Glenn International Airport. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
And we'll have updates from Ross throughout the newscast and tonight at 11.
And you saw how happy Urban Meyer was in that video. Well, as you can imagine, Buckeye Nation is excited about today's win. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson is at the shoe now with how Buckeye Nation came out to support the team and how they're celebrating. Cierra?
Yes, Karine, it's often called one of the greatest rivalries in college sports. And despite some of that dreary weather, Ohio State fans came out in droves to support the Ohio State Buckeyes pull out that win against that team up north. Now, take a look at this video. While thousands were inside of the shoe, we also found some that were tailgating in those lots. The grills were going and the TV games were all tuned to the game. And today was really about a sense of community and pride in Central Ohio's team. We were able to find fans of both teams coexisting despite OSU's win, and we even found a house divided with a child attending both schools. Take a listen.
It's just more fun than anything. We have a lot of fun with all of it. We don't really care. Whoever wins, it's a good day for the Trombetta family.
Lots of food, lots of drinks. It's pretty fun. Lots of signs again. Lots of people just chanting OH, IO. It's pretty fun.
It's the greatest rivalry in all sports.
And as he says, this probably is one of the greatest rivalries in college sports. We'll definitely have more of that fan reaction tonight at 11. We're live on the campus of The Ohio State University. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
All right, Sarah, thank you.
We are glad you were with us for the news here at 5 p.m. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I'm Scott Light. So tonight we've got your Thanksgiving evening forecast, and the volunteers also providing hundreds of meals for those in need. But let's begin with the holiday shopping spree as 10 TV's Cierra Johnson joins us now live at Best Buy in Dublin. And Cierra, the doors just opened a couple of minutes ago.
Right over there. Yes, Scott, I think I have the best assignment of the night. I think I'm actually in the midst of all the chaos. You can see the stream of people coming in right now. I mean, Thanksgiving is obviously about the turkey and the mashed potatoes, but it's obviously also about standing outside in some of those cold temperatures to get that best deal. Now, as you mentioned, those doors did open just a couple of minutes ago, and people actually began lining up about 5 hours ago to get those deals, hoping to snag that best spot in line. Many of the folks we spoke to say the deals may not be as strong as they used to be, but this is really part of their tradition. Kind of the thrill of getting that deal and being one of the first in line is part of their tradition. Take a listen.
I did last year. Yeah, it was a long and grueling experience, but it's well worth it.
I think it's going to be kind of hectic. I said I plan on trying to get to the thing as quick as possible, but I mean, I don't know what to expect in this area, new to it, so.
And I can tell you firsthand, this is pretty much some organized chaos. We have some more folks making their way in. Some people have green tickets, some people have red tickets, those tickets indicating what specific electronic they're looking for. But of course, the store opening at 5 o'clock, this line stretched pretty far down the parking lot, and you can see folks making their way inside with their plan of attack, what they're getting for their loved one. We'll be back here live at 6 o'clock to bring you more of this excitement. We're live in Dublin. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
All right, Cierra, you can go look for that TV for your living room now. We'll check it. Well, many of you are maybe wrapping up your Thanksgiving dinner and getting out of the house and into the stores for those early Black Friday sales. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson is live at the Best Buy again in Dublin, where people are looking for some good deals. Cierra, you've been there since the doors opened about an hour ago. What are people buying? What are they searching for?
Scott, what are they not buying? We've seen people dragging 2 and 3 televisions out. People are looking for iPads and Apple products, and really the traffic has not stopped since those doors opened at 5. Now, I was out here around noon, and a lot of people were telling me they were coming in for the 50-inch Toshiba that was $129. Well, a sales associate actually told me that those sold out within minutes. So the deals here are really, really abundant. You can see folks making their way out. They have security. They have Columbus Police. All of this in the name of good deals. Now, many people we talked to said they're looking for those deep discounts on items like television, some of those items that are a little more expensive. But it's not just Best Buy that has those good deals. Many other retailers are also luring people in with toys, especially because Toys R Us closed earlier this year. Now, CNN Business is reporting several big names like Walmart and Target and some other stores you typically wouldn't associate with toys like Kohl's are really getting involved in the toy business with hopes of gaining shoppers. And while there will be the traditional sales both today and real Black Friday, one shopper I spoke with say he plans to do his shopping in a couple of days. Take a listen.
I think everyone waits usually for Cyber Monday nowadays. I said, unless it's a huge doorbuster, I mean, that's when I would assume that people would wait outside for things.
So you can see here the folks continuing to stream in. We've actually seen an influx. Maybe people are just finishing out dinner. So if you are heading out, be prepared because there will be some crowds. We're live in Dublin tonight. Cierra Johnson, 10 TV News.
All right, so you can tell there Best Buy is open. Bricks are laid with the names of veterans at Veterans Memorial Park.
The police department and the city itself employ several veterans, and our city actually has a large population of veterans as well, and we want to do our small part to honor the employees and the citizens that live in this community.
The ceremony also acknowledged World War I veterans on this 100th anniversary of the end of the war. 10 TV's Cierra Johnson served as the MC for that event.